What's up, guys? My name is Elias, and Predator Badlands has officially dropped in theaters. So, here's my take on it. 3 years after Dan Trachtenberg's Prey dropped on Hulu, the current franchise spearheader went and made an animated anthology film, Killer of Killers, connecting the Predator movies in ways we couldn't have and probably wouldn't have anticipated. Subsequently thereafter, he gave the franchise its first big screen outing since 2018's The Predator in the form of Predator Badlands, and dare I say, it's one of, if not the best one. Without talking spoilers, skip ahead for spoiler chapters if you want to get right into the nitty gritty. Badlands expands on the lore of the Predators by finally showing us their homeworld of Yautja, allowing Trachtenberg and story writer Patrick Azon to dive deep into what we've known about the creatures since their conception. They're all about honor. By making Demetrius Schuster Kolo Matangi's young predator Dek the main protagonist we follow here, and I'm sure I butchered his last name, we're really about to resonate with and full on root for one of the titular monsters we viewed as the bad guys for nearly 4 decades now. He's headstrong, determined, reserved yet sympathetic, and super badass, all wrapped up in one complex, dread headed package, burdened with a quest that you can't help but desire for him to see to completion. His companion Thea is a synthetic android played charmingly by Elle Fanning. I can't count the amount of times I laughed just from her and Dek's camaraderie alone and actually felt something as their bond began to evolve. The planet they meet on is filled with deadly plants, I should say, and animals ripped straight out of someone's worst nightmares, which makes the adrenaline pumping action and death defying stakes all the more visceral and engaging. And even though a majority of the visuals are done here with CGI, they never take away from what's happening on screen and actually provide some mind boggling imagery we've simply never seen in a Predator movie before. Dek moves like a ninja, and the choreography between both him and Thea is just so friggin' entertaining. Now, although most of the online chatter for this movie is positive, with audiences praising it as a revitalization of the franchise, some of it is surprisingly negative, with fans' biggest complaints being that it's somewhat Disney-fied, with the limitations it succumbed to from having a PG-13 rating. I am here to tell you that it in no way, shape, or form does that hinder the overall experience, as not everything needs to be rated R to cater to us adults. While 2018's The Predator felt like a mediocre MCU movie with its cheap jokes, wonky visuals, and bland plot, Badlands feels like an MCU Predator movie done right. If that's any consolation. The humor is actually very well done and never overstays its welcome, with the visuals, as I mentioned, serving the fantastical quality of the story itself, which is simply ridiculously interesting and a welcome change of pace for a rather formulaic franchise. Now, getting into some spoilers here, you've been warned. Badlands is more thematic than I ever would have expected from the franchise. While Naru's induction as the war chief for her tribe in Prey made me emotional, Dek's quest for noble revenge due to his protective brother Quay's death at the hands of their own father had me itching in my seat, while every step he took on the death planet Genna got him closer and closer to achieving his goal, making the Predator somewhat a protagonist halfway through Alien vs. Predator work due to the story that was being told, but never would I have thought the notion would be justified for an entire movie. Needless to say, that's what Dan Trachtenberg was able to accomplish, and I'm convinced that I need to see Dek hack and slash his way through more monsters or synths ASAP. Since Thea and her quote unquote sister Tessa have this interesting bond or relationship, I should say, not really a bond, where Thea has more feelings than Tessa, as the latter has become more of a company woman than an independent thinker. I.e., she's more like David from Prometheus, and Thea is more like Walter from Alien Covenant. Two sides of the same coin. And I really do love how the movie's antagonistic force throughout the Alien franchise's staple evil corporation, Weyland Yutani, which thereby connects the Predator and Alien franchises together once again. Thank you, Mr. Trachtenberg. This is something I've been waiting to happen since I was a kid, and now that everything from 1979's Alien to now is essentially canonical and coming full circle, there's no telling what kind of shenanigans we'll see in the years to come. But of course, I gotta talk about that ending. Now, in the film, Dek and Thea meet this little monkey-looking creature they name Bud, which happens to be the child of the beast that Dek has been on the hunt for, the Kellic. Now, while not some transcendent plot twist, it still adds to the humanity, oddly enough, that Dek is able to feel toward other creatures when we've only seen predators to be these cold and ruthless savages, as he was the majority of the movie's less than 2 hour runtime as he was on the hunt for the creature. After Dek and Bud rescue Thea and the Kellic from captivity, Tessa kills the beast just as Deck formed a bond with it, which almost brought a tear to my eye. Don't judge me. But it just goes to show you how good Trachtenberg and Azon are good at their crafts when I can care for a giant CGI behemoth more than a lot of other things that die in movies. It's all about the execution. No pun intended. After Deck murks Tessa, this pseudo-family officially forms between he, the growing Bud, and the trusty Thea. They return to Deck's homeworld to confront his father, which is just a sick battle in and of itself between dad and son. Eventually, thankfully, Deck does win, officially avenging his brother and finally becoming Deck of the Yautja in a bookend proving family isn't always what you're born into, but who you find along the way. And even though Deck's mother is on the way and will more than likely be PO'd that, he killed his father, I guess we'll just have to wait for Badlands 2 or some crossover down the road to find out just what the heck is going to happen. I, for one, vote for Deck to be the main protagonist going forward. Just such a cool character and a capable warrior, and I hope that means we get to see more of his familial dynamic with Thea and Bud. Now I know what Vin Diesel has been mumbling about for the last 32 Fast and Furious movies. Family. Overall, Predator Badlands is a welcome departure from the usual formula and a risky experiment that has officially breathed new life into the franchise on the big screen. The hack and slash action, the characters' camaraderie, the special effects, the unique story and plot, that freaking score, chef's kiss. I just really dug this movie, and I'm going to be hard pressed to rank all of the Alien and Predator films now, but I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Badlands yet, go check it out because there's no doubt in my mind that the franchise is nestled safely in Dan Trachtenberg's hands. In other words, it was spectacular. Give me 14 more. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button, share it to others so they can join in on the conversation, and subscribe to my channel as well as follow me on all socials at Takes with Eli. Get in my comments with your thoughts on Predator Badlands. But until next time, take care and God bless.